The Indian ride-hailing sector is one of the toughest sectors to be in. Two of the biggest companies in it have spent over a decade in this business, and during this time, they have raised billions of dollars and spent it. But neither of them has made any profit till now. Now, the main reason behind this is that both of these companies had to create a market from scratch. And to do this, they had to incentivize both the drivers and customers. That's why it took so much time and money for them to do it. This is when an Indian company found an Indian solution to the mobility business. See, India is a two-wheeler market with 75% of all vehicles being two-wheelers. And that's when three friends started a bike taxi business and named it Rapido. And the thing with Rapido is that they learned from all the mistakes of Ola and Uber and created a very lean and cost-effective way to run a business. In fact, Rapido has raised 1/10 of the money of Ola, but it has surpassed it to become the second biggest ride-hailing company in India only after Uber. And now Rapido is also using its fleet to get into the delivery business. They already have a partnership with Swiggy and are now talking to quick commerce companies like Zepto too. And it's mainly because Rapido has built a loyal base of millions of driver partners. And now the company is doing everything it can to increase their incomes. So in this video, let's understand what has Rapido done right. Why did it decide to enter a segment that is so cutthroat? And how did starting with a bike business help them compete successfully with Ola and Uber? Let's understand all this in this episode of Backstage with Millionaires. Today, when we think of Rapido, we think of a ride-hailing company. A company that started as a bike taxi business and is today competing with Ola and Uber. But that wasn't always the case. In fact, Rapido did not start as a ride-hailing business at all. Its founders were passionate about solving the logistics scene in India. In 2014, they came together to start an intra-city logistics company, TheKarrier. Think of it like today's Porter, where they had a fleet of trucks and allowed businesses to move their stuff inside a city. Now that business was doing really well, and in just 1 year of starting it, the team had raised 1.5 crore rupees in funding, had 300 vehicles in their network, and fulfilled 1,000 orders a month from big customers like Flipkart and Delivery. Their business was profitable, but they were still looking for a change. Why? Here is Arvind explaining the reason to your story, Shraddha Sharma.
When we are pivoting at least from Carrier to Rapido, we know that what we don't want to do. We don't want to run a startup which runs a bit slow. When B2B plus trucking business is, yes, it's a profitable. We used to make money at that time almost every month, but we have still pivoted that idea from Carrier to Rapido.
They didn't want to work on a startup that wasn't growing fast enough. The company they were running was a B2B intra-city logistics company. And the thing with B2B businesses is that it's easy to build a small profitable business, but the growth isn't as fast as a consumer-facing business. And so this was the first sign that they had to change directions. But how did they arrive at Rapido? See, while building TheKarrier, their sales guys and helpers mostly traveled on bikes from one location to the other.
We were moving helpers from one place to other, but we couldn't be able to move them in cabs or in autos because it's super costly. So we used to have our own sales guys who are going and acquiring SMEs. So we used to make these helpers travel on the bike.
And this was when founders understood that two-wheelers were the backbone of India. And while doing research, they realized that 75% of all vehicles in India are two-wheelers. Also, this was the same time when so much was happening in India's ride-hailing sector. It was the year that Ola became a unicorn. And the same year, it acquired Taxi for Sure in a $200 million deal. This was one of the biggest deals for the Indian startup ecosystem at the time. Then there was US-based Uber, which had recently come to India and was spending hundreds of millions of dollars to expand their cab hailing business too. And so the three founders started connecting the dots. Their first insight was that ride hailing would become a very big sector. As I mentioned, Ola had already become an unicorn and the market as a whole was growing at a whopping 40 to 50% annually. Their next insight was that unlike the US where almost everyone drives a car, India is a market that runs on two-wheelers. And this, combined with the fact that India's GDP per capita is much lower compared to these countries, if they could use two-wheelers to provide cheaper rides to Indians, there's a big business to be built.
But our belief was India as a market, if you are selling something much more cheaper than the alternative and you are giving the similar convenience, the market has to be bigger. So if you look at from a consumer point of view, instead of a four-wheeler, two-wheeler is coming and picking you and dropping you. And it is also 1/3 of the price of a cab. Right? So it has to work.
Now these insights were on the consumer side, but the founders also came up with solid reasons why a rider would want to work with them. Firstly, as I mentioned before, 3/4 of all vehicles in India were two-wheelers. And according to Rapido's estimates, there were 22 crore bike owners in India at the time. Out of these, 20% were unemployed, part-time workers or students, which meant there were around 4.4 crore people with bikes who could be their potential driver partners. These insights pushed the founders to leave their ongoing business TheKarrier and start Rapido to disrupt the duopoly of Ola and Uber. As soon as Rapido was started, their first challenge was to raise money for their ambitious idea. They started by approaching VCs, but after spending more than 1 year and a rejection from 75 VCs, Rapido did not have any runs on the board. See, there were mainly two reasons why VCs did not believe in this idea. The first was that Rapido was a small fish in a huge pond, which was dominated by two sharks, namely Ola and Uber. These companies were heavily funded, and it would take years for Rapido to catch up with them. The second reason was even more important. Most VCs believed that bike sharing would not work, and people, especially women, would not like the idea of sitting behind strange men. Both of these were genuine reasons, but the founders had faith in their idea and they believed they could solve these challenges with time. After getting rejected by most of the VCs, the founders started approaching angel investors. And in 2016, they were able to raise some money from angels like Anupam Mittal, Gaurav Munjal and Kunal Bal. But there was one investor who was really crucial and literally changed the future course of Rapido. This guy was Pawan Munjal, CEO of India's largest two-wheeler manufacturer, Hero MotoCorp. See, up until then, Rapido was trying to grow in tier 1 cities like Bengaluru and Gurugram. But Pawan advised them to build for tier 2 and tier 3 cities in India. And this advice changed the growth trajectory of Rapido. The founders realized that Ola and Uber were fighting for the market in tier 1 cities, places where people were comfortable paying 200 to 400 rupees for an everyday trip. But this wasn't the case for the rest of India. For example, India's GDP per capita in 2016 was just 91,731 rupees, which is roughly 7,600 rupees per month. And this is average. If you take out tier 1 cities, it would be way lesser. So there is no way an average Indian in these cities could afford such expensive trips. This made the team change their focus. And as Bhavish likes to say, Tesla for the West, Ola for the rest. In this case, it became Ola and Uber for tier 1 and Rapido for the rest of India. And it wasn't like Rapido completely gave up on tier 1 market. They just expanded to tier 2 and tier 3 to get growth numbers. So now Rapido was targeting the entire Indian market. In low tier markets, its cheaper rides helped the company grow fast. At the time, while an average Ola and Uber ride cost 180 to 200 rupees, Rapido's average ticket size was just 60 to 65 rupees. Also, bikes had other benefits apart from price too. They are faster than the cabs. So while cabs could get stuck in the traffic, which is especially true in tier 1 cities like Delhi, Mumbai and Bengaluru, Rapido's bike taxi offered a cheaper and quicker mode of transportation. So this is how Rapido succeeded both in tier 1 and tier 2 and tier 3 cities, and in a way grew without directly competing with Ola and Uber. Take a look at this growth of Rapido. In 2016, they were doing only 500 rides a day. This increased to 3,500 in 2017, 30,000 in 2018 and 5 lakh rides a day in 2020. Also, this was the time when Ola and Uber's growth in India was slowing down. According to these numbers from Think School, even before the pandemic, Ola and Uber's growth had stagnated. And that's probably because they had saturated the demand in tier 1 cities. Even today, as of March 2024, if we total the number of rides Ola and Uber are doing every day, it comes to 32 lakh rides a day. And this number is lower than their peak of 36 lakh rides in 2019. Rapido, on the other hand, continues to grow. Their 5 lakh rides a day from 2020 has increased to 16.5 lakh rides today. And when you compare it with the other two, it has already beaten Ola and is only behind Uber now. So till now we have talked about why Rapido was winning among consumers. It was faster and cheaper. But there was another big reason behind its crazy growth, and that was driver satisfaction. See, Ola and Uber promised their drivers the moon when they started. Look at this news article where Ola was offering incentives like a 2 BHK flat in Bengaluru, foreign trips, and even offered to pay drivers down payments for their cars. In addition, these companies were also promising a monthly income of as high as 1 lakh rupees. This inspired a lot of people to leave their secure jobs and start driving cabs for these companies. But the thing is, that was the cash burning phase for these companies, so their only focus was to onboard as many drivers as possible. But when the time came to actually make money from them, they increased their commissions in a big way. Initially, this commission was 10%, but has now increased to as high as 40%, due to which earnings of drivers have dropped significantly, and is also one of the reasons why drivers are angry with these companies. Rapido, on the other hand, made more realistic promises to these drivers. They marketed Rapido as a way to make extra money for their drivers, like a side gig. So anyone who had a bike and some free time could become a Rapido driver and make some extra money. To give you a rough idea, Rapido's goal for the drivers is for them to be able to make 70 to 75 rupees per hour after deducting expenses. So for example, if a driver works 8 hours in a day, he can make somewhere close to 550 to 600 rupees. On a monthly basis, this comes to 16,000 to 18,000 rupees after deducting all the expenses like petrol. So here, only people who are applying are either unemployed or someone who wants to do it as a side gig. Next thing Rapido did right with drivers is instant payment. See, earlier Ola and Uber collected the money directly from their customers and paid the drivers on a weekly basis. This wasn't something that drivers liked, as many of times they did not have money to pay for things like petrol or toll tax. But Rapido learned from this and allowed their drivers to collect payments directly from the customers. So now all the money went to the driver directly and he or she then paid a 15% commission to Rapido. This established a good faith between the driver and Rapido. And by doing things like these, Rapido was able to build both the demand and supply side of their marketplace. And this is how they're able to compete neck to neck with Ola and Uber in such a short span of time. Now, whatever we discussed till now was about Rapido's two-wheeler business. And yes, they started with bikes, but after the pandemic, they first expanded to auto rickshaws and now they're into cab hailing as well. So basically, Rapido first started a category that no one was doing. It built a successful model there and is now entering into the heavy ticket size segments. So while in the bike segment, Rapido charged an average of 8 rupees per kilometer, in auto rickshaws it's 14 to 16 rupees, which means their revenue per user has almost doubled. And similar to bike taxis, Rapido applied a different model here as well. As we discussed earlier, how drivers were not happy with Ola and Uber because of their high commission and delayed payments, and so Rapido started working on a zero commission model. Here, they did not charge commission on every single ride. Instead, they came up with a fixed payment model. So it doesn't matter how many rides an auto driver does, he has to pay a fixed amount which varies between 9 to 29 rupees per day. And Rapido actually borrowed this model from Namma-Yatri. So while Namma-Yatri was limited to Bengaluru, Rapido implemented it successfully in all the cities they were present in. And this model worked so well for the company that today Rapido's revenue from three-wheelers has surpassed their revenue from two-wheelers. And if you take a look at their total revenue, you see the impact of it. Till 2020, Rapido was only in the bike segment, and although they were the market leader in it, their revenue was only 42.6 crore rupees. And after getting into the auto segment, their revenue has grown 10 times in the next 3 years. So this strategy is clearly working, and Rapido has now entered into the home turf of Ola and Uber, which is cab rides. And similar to two-wheelers and three-wheelers, Rapido has come up with a new model here as well. Instead of charging commission on every ride, Rapido is charging only a fixed payment of 500 rupees per month, and that too only if the driver reaches a monthly income of 10,000 rupees. And this model is working well too. In Hyderabad, where Rapido first started cab rides, it has already captured a 23 to 25% market share. And there is something interesting here. 15% of the drivers who have signed up for Rapido cabs are new to this profession, which means Rapido's model is also appealing to people who were previously hesitant to join this industry. By now, it seems like everything that Rapido is trying to do is becoming a success. And frankly, I felt it too while writing the script of this video. And what I realized after reading many articles and watching many interviews of the founders is that their approach with Rapido is very, very different. And frankly, I want you to watch this podcast of CEO Arvind Sanka to understand what I'm saying. In this podcast, Arvind talks about the pain points of drivers in every third sentence, which shows that they are approaching this business not to compete with Ola and Uber, but to fundamentally bring a change in the driver partners' lives.
We don't even call our drivers as drivers, we call them captains. I don't think they're drivers. They are someone who want to make extra money, either underemployed or unemployed.
Okay.
When I say underemployed, minimum wages in India is anywhere closer to 10,000 to 14,000 rupees per month.
Yes.
Take a security guard who makes around 13,000 to 14,000 rupees a month. If you look at his salary after 5 years or 6 years, he just get replaced from one company to other company.
Similar
his salary will not increase.
Yeah.
As a delivery boy or as a Rapido captain, maybe you can increase your earnings from 20,000 to, if you are maybe experienced on how do you know how to behave with the customer. So you can
10-20% extra.
Yeah, exactly right. So, but if you want to go to the leagues of 30,000-40,000 rupees, it is very difficult. Maybe you give off your two-wheeler and buy a three-wheeler. From 20,000 it goes to 26,000. You give off three-wheeler and go to four-wheeler, maybe it goes to a 30,000. But That's it.
I'm gonna link this podcast in the description of this video, so feel free to watch it after you watch this video. Another important thing I realized while listening to them is that while Ola and Uber are working by keeping a customer in mind, Rapido is building itself by keeping drivers in mind. In fact, in the same podcast, Arvind mentions that 80% of his team is working on the driver's side and only 20% takes care of the customer. And it is this focus on drivers which is helping Rapido expand into new frontiers. During the COVID lockdown, when their drivers did not have much work, Rapido partnered with companies like Big Basket and Big Bazaar to deliver their goods to the customers. They even partnered with state governments of Delhi and Karnataka to deliver COVID relief items. It's like Rapido has a fleet of drivers, and whenever they think there's an opportunity for them to make more money, the company allows them to do so. This experiment of delivering goods during the COVID worked so well that in 2022, Rapido partnered with Swiggy to deliver their food orders during some hours. So for example, morning 8 to 12 and evening 5 to 8 is peak time for Rapido drivers, as this is when people travel for work and studies. But in the remaining time, the company realized that their driver partners did not have much work, and this is why this partnership with Swiggy happened. Swiggy in fact invested in Rapido to make use of their massive fleet. And now Rapido is thinking what's the next segment they can expand to, and they feel quick commerce is that segment. Recently, there were reports that Rapido is in discussion with Zepto to help them with their deliveries. And in my opinion, this is a big opportunity, as quick commerce is growing by leaps and bounds every month, and many companies are spending massive amounts of money to get into this segment. So even if Rapido can take a small slice of this market in the form of deliveries, it's still going to be massive. So till now we talked about everything that Rapido is doing right, but there are some areas where companies struggling big time, and some of them are pretty serious challenges. The first is safety concerns. Recently, a user posted a video of a Rapido driver watching YouTube while driving a bike, and this video went viral. Now, this is not something that's limited to Rapido drivers, but the thing is, Rapido created this segment of bike taxis, and if something bad happens, not only would it tarnish Rapido's image, but the bike taxi segment as a whole. The next issue with the company is lenient driver onboarding. Rapido's onboarding process has been criticized for being too quick and too easy. Drivers are reportedly allowed onto the platform with minimal verification. All it takes to become a Rapido captain is a driver's license, vehicle registration, and an Aadhaar or PAN number. And usually this process takes just a few minutes. This lack of thorough background checks is a major red flag, especially now as the company expands into cab services and other segments. The third one is a serious issue, and it is avoiding of license. See, Rapido claims that it is not a cab aggregator but a software provider, which allows it to bypass regional transport licensing requirements. And while this loophole has worked for them so far, it leaves them vulnerable if regulators clamp down. Operating without an RTO license in states could potentially lead to shutdown or legal actions, especially as they expand their operations into more cities. And finally, the question is, will the subscription-based model work in the long term for the company? See, as we discussed, Rapido charges a flat fee instead of taking a commission on each ride. And while this has been a game changer for attracting drivers, it limits Rapido's ability to increase revenue per driver. So the company earns a fixed amount, no matter how many rides a driver completes. So this model might hit the ceiling when Rapido saturates its driver base. So it'll be very interesting how the company deals with this issue. In the end, I want to hear from you. What do you think of this crazy journey of Rapido? Do you think its unique and driver-friendly business model is going to help the company in the long term? Or is there something fundamentally wrong with it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.